Hello and welcome to the channel. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. If you're a regular viewer, you might know that I usually do lots of small videos throughout the day on Wordle and Wordle variations, but as a bit of a weekend treat, or whatever the opposite of a treat is, I thought I'd do something slightly different today, and I'm basically going to do 6 or 7 of those variations, but all in this one video. So if you like just one particular variation, all of the timestamps will be in the description below, so you can skip to whichever section you most prefer. And if you like all of them, just feel free to watch the whole video. They should all be fairly quick ones. I'll still be putting up separate videos today with some of the ones that tends to take me a bit longer. So with all that out of the way, let's get started on normal Wordle. Let's see how long it takes me. I'm going to start with chaos as always. And we've got the A in the right place and we've got an O. I said the other day that I rarely get 2 on the first go, so I'm pleased that we've got 2 letters today. The question is it going to be blank OA, or is the O going to be first or fifth? How about orate? Let's see if we're telling a story today, and we're not. That's not great. So if the O is second, then you think of words like poach or roach, but obviously we can't use the CH ending, so that's why I tried the O in a different position. But I'm thinking it might have to go second. I mean, we can't have hoard or board either, because we can't have the R now. I maybe should have tried board last time. What about if the O is last? Don't know what that's going to give us. I might come back to this train of thought, but let's see if we can think of a word with the O second first. I mean, let's see if we can think of a word with the O second before I go on to thinking about what happens if it's last. And I'm actually kind of struggling, which is why I'm waffling so much. How about goalie, is that a word? I think it would be an IE ending. If it is that pattern, ending in the O, I suppose, imago I think is a word. Let's just rule out the O being at the end. There we go. So the O is definitely second, which I could have told you ages ago. But what are those last 2 letters? Oh, it might be a duplicated A. Let's try koala. I did not think of a duplicated A. I think that was quite a tough one. I'm quite happy that only took me 4. And as you can see, I usually get it in 4, even if it's a really easy one, so can't really complain. That's the Wordle puzzle for today. Now, moving on. Quordle. So, the idea here is very simple. We're playing 4 Wordles at once. So I tend to start with inert chaos or other combinations of those same 10 letters. And we've got a little bit of information, not so much on the top row, but we've got, it's going to be SHA blank E on the bottom right. It could be shape or shame or shake or shade or shave. So I might come back to that one. The bottom left, we've got 4 letters out of 5. So we should be able to get that, but it's not ratio, which is what immediately springs to mind with A, I and O. We can't use the R, of course. So what is that going to be if it's not ratio? I don't know. I think I might just have to go for 5 new letters, because that's also going to help narrow things down in the bottom right. So now it can't be shape or shame or shale. Oh, and it's patio, of course, in the bottom left. There we go. So we've got a couple of greens now on the top left. Is that going to be husky? Oh, no, maybe bushy. A little bit of a waste of a guess there, but it's... I was going to say it's maybe helped us in the bottom right, but it hasn't really. We've ruled out shake, and we've ruled out shape. So maybe it can only now be shade or shave, so it's still at least 2 options. What about the top right? It could be a double R that we're looking at. I will start to worry if this is wrong, but luckily it's not. And now I think, okay, we've got shade or shave. I've got 2 guesses left. Of course it's not the one that I go for first, but it was the one that I went for second, so we just about succeeded. You've only got 9 guesses total, and it took me the full 9 there. But that's the Quordle puzzle. Moving on. Vertical. So this is another Wordle variant where your guesses get entered vertically, as you can see. Now, I'm putting in the word chasm. The word that I've guessed had an M as the last letter of the word. However, you can see, because it's put it in the first column, because it was my first guess, and we've got a green M, that means that the M is actually the first letter of the word. So it works a little bit differently to normal Wordle. Because it's putting in the guesses vertically, all that matters is the column that your letter is in. So for example here, as I said, the M is green, it's in the first column, so it's the first letter of the word. Even though it's the last letter of my guess and it's green, because it's in the first column, it's the first letter of the word. And similarly the C is the first letter of my guess and it's yellow, it's in the first column. That just means it can be anywhere in the word apart from first, which we already knew because we've got the M in first. So, with those instructions kind of out the way, it could be mimic, but I don't really want to try so many duplicated letters. Let's try mucky. Interesting, so now you can see we've tried a word that's got M in the first letter and it's yellow, even though we know that the M is the first letter of the word. So how can that be, you ask? Well, it's because that was my second guess, so it's put it in the second column, and of course the M isn't the second letter of the word. It's only the column that matters. The M is not the second letter, it's in the second column, so it becomes yellow. But again, we know that the M is actually the first letter of the word. So it starts with M, we've got a CY somewhere in the word, but it's not a CKY ending. So we're looking at a vowel in second, aren't we? But what is going to come between, I'm assuming that it ends in a Y. So what else is there going to be just before or after the C? Is it going to be a CY ending? Or is it going to be M vowel C something Y? And if so, what would that fourth letter be? Because the K is definitely the most likely letter to go in that position. But we've decided that that's not correct, or we know it's not correct because the game has told us it's not correct. I might want to try mycy. I don't think that's a word, and I don't think it's likely to be correct even if it is a word. If it ends in a C, then the Y is going to be third. So if it's M blank Y blank C, I don't know what that word would be either. So it must surely end with the Y. But what would that fourth letter be? I don't think mincy is a word. Mercy is a word though, isn't it? That took me far too long to think of, but it was correct. And a 3 is very nice. I'm glad I spent time thinking about that because we've got the 100 streak, which is always nice, and we've got it with a 3 rather than a 4. And just to finish off the kind of instructional part of this section, just to kind of emphasise how this vertical puzzle works, you can see that mercy was the correct answer. It was the third guess, so it's in the third column, which means that the third letter is the only one that's actually in green. So even though we've got the correct word, we've got 4 yellows and a green, which is not really what you'd expect from normal Wordle. Normal Wordle, you'd want 5 greens to be sure that you're correct, whereas here we've only got the 1 green, but it was the correct answer. Okay, so we'll move on to Repeatle. Now the idea here is This is a little bit simpler than Verticle. I probably should have done this before, but here we're simply trying to guess a word. It works exactly the same as normal Wordle. The only restriction is that at least one letter has to appear twice. So I was going to start with 3 because I was going to say this is section 3 of the video, but it's not, so I definitely should have done it before the Verticle puzzle. But anyway, we're doing it now, and that's a very lucky start because we've immediately worked out that there are 2 E's in the word. We've got a yellow one and a green one, so they both be in the word, otherwise one of them would be grey. We also have an R, but we don't know if that's first, second or fourth. So what should we try? We could be an RE beginning. Let's try reuse. Oh, that's not giving us anything. So either it begins with E, it can't be erase anymore. It could be ER blank blank E. What would those other 2 letters be? I'm not sure. The other option is that the E is there. So if it's E blank E at the end, it could be creme as in creme de la creme. Oh, not the most common of words. Again, I'm very happy to get that in 3. You can see on this game the 3s are actually behind the 5s. I don't like that. I need a few more 3s to keep me going. Keep the 3s catching up. But that's the Repeatle puzzle for today. Moving on to Wordle Peaks. So this is slightly different. The idea is to guess a word as usual. And let's just start with words as an example for lack of a better guess. After each guess, it tells you whether you need to move each letter forwards or backwards in the alphabet. So you can see the W needs to move forwards in the alphabet and become any letter from A to V. The O needs to move backwards. It can become any letter from P to Z, and so on. So we do have the R correct, which is quite a nice starting point, but the other letters are not very restricted. This can still be any of 22 different letters. Are we going to have an STR beginning? We could have. Otherwise we're going to have a vowel in second, probably, which would be the U. I think I'll start with the assumption that it's STR and we'll see what happens. And it could be strip. There's a little bit less logic here because it could be so many things. It's just a case of kind of trying to restrict what each letter can be. So I'm going to assume that's a U now, and this last letter is very restricted, so I'm going to assume that's another R. I think this is going to have to be an O if it comes between 2 R's like that. And looking at those 4 letters, I want to put a J at the beginning. And so that's Wordle Peaks in 3. 121 is, oh, I thought I was exactly on my average. It was a tiny bit slower, but I've had a lot slower ones recently, so I definitely can't complain. And we've ended the streak of 4s that we were having, so very happy to get that in 3 as well. We're on a run of 3s today, which is nice. And that's Wordle Peaks. Now, the channel is named after the Nerdle puzzle, so I'm going to have to do a Nerdle on this stream. I've loaded up the micro Nerdle, but what I'm going to do instead... Oh no, I'm here. I'll do the micro Nerdle. I'm just trying to guess a true mathematical equation. 8 minus 3 does indeed equal... Sorry, 8 minus 5 does indeed equal 3. And very luckily, we've got the minus and the equals in the right place. So we'll move on to just moving the 5 around and seeing if that helps. Oh, and we've got the 5 in the right place, but not a lot else. It can still be 7 minus 2 or 9 minus 4. I'm annoyed that there are still at least 2 options. It could be 5 minus 0, of course. That was lucky because there were 3 options at that stage, so it would have just been a case of trying each one of them. So that's the micro Nerdle, also in 3 guesses. Because that was so quick, I'm actually going to do the Binerdle, which I haven't done for a while on this channel. So the idea here, let me just make sure I've got the right settings. I'm going to turn off ads, and I'm not going to allow commutative answers. Okay, so that just makes it a little bit harder. The idea here is to guess a true mathematical equation, but you're doing two at the same time. So similar to Quordle, you're doing multiple, and at each guess it will give you the colour clues for both of them. So let's try what I always used to start with when I was doing this regularly, a sum that uses as many different digits and symbols as possible. So we've ruled out lots of digits, haven't we? So that's kind of a good start, but we haven't got anything in the right place apart from that one solitary equals on the bottom. So I'm going to have to use some addition. We've got 2, 3 and 5. Let's just try 12 plus, how about 33 equals 45. I don't like using the repeated digits, but we've ruled out so many that I don't actually have that much choice. I suppose I could use 53, because then I would be able to test for 6 as well. Right, so we've got quite a lot to go on. That's really not helped us on the top. We'll come back to the top in a minute, but on the bottom we've got 3 equals and 5 all in the correct position. I think it's going to be 6 times 2 plus 3 equals 15. It could be 2 times 6 at the start. So this is where turning commutative answers off makes it a little bit harder, but I can cope, I think. I said I can cope. I don't think I'm going to run out of guesses, but it's annoying to have to use an extra one there. Right, and on the top we've ruled out addition and multiplication. And we don't have the equals in the right place, so it still could be a 3-digit answer or a 1-digit answer. I normally do the shorter Nerdles, and you can never have a 3-digit answer there because there aren't enough spaces, but here you can. Although with subtraction needing to be somewhere in the answer, it's less likely. And we can only use the digits 1, 4 and 9 and 0. Everything else has been ruled out. And there's not a lot we can use with division either, unless we're going to divide something by 1. I suppose we could try 14 divided by 1 minus 5. No, that wouldn't work. It would have to be 10 divided by 1 minus 9 equals 1. So I'm not testing the 4, but at least I'm testing the divide by and seeing if we've got the 1 in the right place at all. Oh no, this can't be correct because we can't have 1 in the first position. So actually let's try 40 divided by 4. That's much more likely to be correct, and it tests for 4. Oh, I'm one permutation away again. That's a little bit annoying. So that's going to be the Binerdle in 6 guesses. That's not terrible. I'm a little bit rusty. I haven't done this for a while. But let me know if you enjoyed this and want to see this more as a standalone puzzle on the channel. And to finish off, Symble. So this is the final type that I'm doing here. I just need to rearrange the screen a little bit. These are my stats before this game, so it'll be 53 total games after this. And I'm going to start with final, because it's the final part of this video. So just to explain the rules quickly, you can see I've put in a guess and I've got some symbols. So it's similar to normal Wordle. You're trying to guess a 5-letter word, but we don't know what symbol means what. So one of those symbols means the letter is not in the word, just like the grey symbols in normal Wordle. One of the symbols means the letter is in the word in the wrong place, same as the yellow symbols in normal Wordle. And one of them means it's in the word in the right place, same as the green symbols in normal Wordle. And even though we've got yellow and green colouring here, we don't know what symbol has what meaning. The only other snag, where you've got the yellow colours, instead of saying, okay, my guess has got an I in second, it's going to tell me it's yellow, that means it's an I, but it's not in second. This works the opposite way round, so that means that if there is an I in the second letter of the word, and I put it first in my guess, I would have a yellow I in second. So it's all about where the letter should be, rather than where the letter actually is in my guess, if that makes any sense at all. Let's just play it, and it might become a little bit easier to see what's going on as we go along. So basically what I'm thinking is we could have an A in second, and therefore we've got a yellow symbol here meaning we've got the wrong letter in second, or rather we've got the right letter in the wrong place, and we could have an I in third, again, from that symbol. So let's try dairy. And now we've got a new symbol. So whenever we get a new symbol, I always assume that the symbol for correct letter, correct place is the one that we have least of, because it's the least likely option. So I'm going to assume that the A is correct in second. We've got a new symbol at the end here, so I'm thinking either the D or the R should actually be the letter that goes last. And I'm thinking that the F or the L should be the letter that goes third to complete the top row. So that would be blank A, L, blank R, or blank D. I don't know if this has American spellings, but I'm going to try Valor. I think it only has American spellings rather, so I would spell this with a U, but we'll go for this to test my theory about the A, L and R. And all of my logic has gone out the window. So actually, this blue ring does not mean that we had the A in the right place. In fact, this I, N and Y were all in the correct place. So you can see about the not knowing what symbol means what really messes with your mind. The reason we had a blue ring here is because this I was in the wrong place. So we've got blank IN from the top row and blank Y from the second guess. So let's try and fill in those two X's. Is it minty? Oh, it's not, but I'm pretty sure we've got the I, N and Y in the right place now. It could be kinky, which tripped me up on one of the other Wordle variations recently. I don't know what else it could be. Let's try pinky. I think it's less likely, but it'll at least confirm whether the K is correct. Oh, and it was actually pinky, so I'm very happy with that. Very lucky there. And as I said, we're up to 53 games of this. And that was another fiver, wasn't it? So the fives are catching up the fours, raising my average. That's not what I like to see. But anyway, thank you for watching. As I said, that was the final solve of this particular video. There are plenty of other shorter videos on the channel. Let me know if you liked this format or if you prefer the split out videos. Usually my shorter videos have a lot higher views, so I'm not expecting too many people to get to the end of this, but thank you if you did. Please like the video, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel because it will really help. I think putting up so many videos every day sort of splits the viewership, so I'm trying to condense them if I can, but maybe this one's a bit too long. I don't know, you tell me. I just want to do things that people are going to watch. And if nobody gets to the end, then nobody will hear me say this. But as I said, if you did get to the end, thank you very much, and bye for today.